In sales, it's important to have a professional meeting in order to get the idea across. And you do that by breaking up your meeting into 3 parts. The opening of your meeting needs to kick off in a way that shows that you have a plan, that we're aligned on the end goal of our meeting and what we're here to accomplish. During the course of the meeting, we're going to talk about different types of questions you can ask to try and get to the outcome or next steps. Now, thinking about your meeting in this 3-part structure works over the phone, by video, or even face-to-face. And you'll realize that people who structure their meeting in this kind of way come across as a professional. So here's how you structure your call. The first, I want you to think about a great meeting as having engagement over time. That, of course, at the very beginning of the meeting, we need to start off with the opening. But don't make this opening too long and then too much about things that aren't related to the topic at hand. Just because you're both into a certain sports team or you both have a similar hobby doesn't mean that your customer wants to spend all of that time just talking about that hobby. So make sure that you have some pleasantries at the beginning, but don't spend too long. Then immediately jump into your opening. We recommend using something as simple as acing the opening. The ACE opening is really powerful because it's a pattern that you can follow that takes the hard part out of figuring out what are you going to say first. So instead, we start off with a word that's easy to remember, like appreciate. Dan, I appreciate getting on the call today. Then we go into the next phase. You check the end time. We have 30 minutes scheduled. Does that still work for you? Yes, that works great. Or if they say, no, I only have 25 minutes, say, no problem, we'll make sure to end 5 minutes early. Maybe reserve the last 2 minutes to schedule next steps in case there's things that are more relevant to you. Now we've given them a trade. Finally, we go into the E. This stands for the end goal. Make sure that you have your goal in mind from the customer's perspective, not from the salesperson's perspective, because it's powerful to always make it about them and less about you, because when you come across as salesy, they're not always going to want to listen to what you have to say next. So we have this beautiful ACE opening. We can then go into the agenda and explain what steps that we're going to get there. And then finally, we get into the good part. This is what the fundamental skill is of a great sales professional. We call this the diagnose framework. To diagnose your customer, you need to ask questions, just like a great doctor would do. There's some closed-ended questions you can ask and some open-ended questions after you've set context, but really it's finding what is the impact that your customer is looking to achieve. So an effective way to start with that is to start off with 2 closed-ended questions, and these could be something like, how many employees do you have? Or what tools do you use today? And then you can ask an open-ended question. How are you using that tool today? What process do you have in place? What challenges do you have? Or what do you like about your existing infrastructure? Those questions can open up the customer to explain really what's going on. And then you align to the impact. Try and figure out what problems they have could result in a significant impact that would make them want to buy a solution. This can be rational impact, like increasing revenue or decreasing cost, or an emotional impact, like a better experience for my customers or for my employees. And then finally, it's all about getting to the timeline. This is where that urgency comes into place. We would call this the critical event. Critical event is something that is meaningful to your customer. Why do they want to buy a solution by a certain time? And then finally, we end with a decision. How are they going to be making the decision? Who else needs to be involved? What happens if they don't make a decision? All of these can help us drive urgency. And once we've diagnosed the problem, seen from their perspective why they're trying to solve it, it helps us create next steps. And a great sales professional makes it easy to follow through. Make it very clear about what you will do, what they will do, and help them achieve what they are trying to achieve, not what you're just trying to sell them. This will help you in the long term and help you form great relationship with your customers so they'll want to come back to you over and over.